Yeah, so Team USA cruised through South Sudan yesterday. LeBron and KD both performed well. But for this being the best team, there sure seems to be a lot of problems. And like Tatum finally got to play, but scored 4 points, my guy. Steph looked pretty gas. Anthony Davis is banged up, and Embiid was benched, I think, again. So for this being like the greatest Team USA team, this is a lot of problems. What's going on there?
So I think problems is overstating it. They've played 2 games that weren't exhibitions. They blew out their opponents both times. Now, they didn't cover against South Sudan. I think they were like almost 30-point favorites. But so in 1992, the original Dream Team, I know there was a tweet out there going viral that said everyone aside from the U.S. team had 9, the whole world essentially, in those Olympics outside of Team USA, had 9 players that played in the NBA. But that was misleading because 5 of those 9, as of those Olympics, had yet to play in the NBA. So you can't really compare it because you don't know who in these Olympics that hasn't played in would. The whole world in 92 outside of Team USA had 4 guys who had played a single minute in the NBA, and 1 or 2 of the 4 had literally played fewer than 2 NBA games. So it was Tony Kukoc and a couple others is it. As of this moment, take out Team USA, there are 62 guys in the other 11 teams who have played in the NBA. The game is more global. The game is better. The talent is higher, all of it. So it absolutely, to me, is reasonable to believe, given where all of these guys are in their careers compared to where everyone was in 1992 on that Dream Team, that this is the best Team USA ever, but also they're going to have their work cut out for them. Also, speaking of age and the way athletes have changed, Levitard pointed this out yesterday in part. I'm going to point it out fully. So Larry Bird in the 92 Dream Team was there because he was Larry Bird, but he was not an effective player anymore. He literally wore a back brace, and I don't know if I've told you this, DeMonze, but this kind of shows you how much the NBA world has changed in the last 30 years. Do you know, have I ever told you how Larry Bird hurt his back? Like the injury that essentially ended his career? Larry Bird hurt his back because he was repaving his own driveway and fell down. Think about that. Maybe the greatest basketball player in the world at that point in time needed a driveway repaved, and he's like, well, I guess I'm going to do it. And he hurt his back repaving his driveway, and he was never the same.
Humble, solid man. I mean, that's
exactly right. French Lick, Indiana, going to drink some beers and repave my driveway. But here's why I mention it. Larry Bird in the 92 Olympics was younger than LeBron right now. That's not surprising. Steph right now and Kevin Durant right now. So the 3 best guys on the team, and Steph and KD look essentially as good as they've ever looked or close to it, are older than Larry Bird was for the 92 Dream Team. So all of those things are, factors or, kind of different little nuances of this team. I think Kerr's done a really good job. I also think the Tatum thing, DeMonze, is wild. Let me ask you this question, and then we'll talk Tatum. Who do you think is having a better U.S. men's basketball Olympic experience? Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown?
No. It's probably Jaylen Brown. I mean,
it's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown gets to be like, you guys snub me because of Nike. I'm going to hang out with Kearse, buy a bunch of Chanel bags, and send out tweets. Meanwhile, Tatum has to sit there and get a coach's decision DNP and then play 17 minutes, play them poorly. Derek White out here cooking.
I felt bad for him, dude.
Yeah, man.
I felt really bad for him.
And Embiid, and so here's the thing. This is, by the way, the argument against 12 stars is what we're seeing right now. The argument that what you should do is have 8 guys you love. 8 guys that are going to get huge minutes, and then 2 specialists and 2 good vibes bench mob guys. And they're like, that is because we're now in a spot where, now, I guess the argument against that argument is, had you done that, Embiid would have definitively been one of the 8 guys you love and you're relying on, and he has been bad. He has been, you know what I mean? He has been flatly bad. And he's going to evidently start the next game.
He's like still working back into basketball shape.
I really want to believe in Embiid and the Sixers. And part of that is my own personal bias because my buddy runs the team. And I think Daryl is a brilliant general manager. And I have massive respect for the fact that during the KD Warriors era, the whole Western Conference kind of was like, we're going to punt on competing right now and try to set ourselves up for the post-KD Warriors era. And Daryl was like, no, we're going for it. And they had him on the ropes. So yeah, I respect that. And I think he deserves to eventually win a championship. And they got Paul George. But man, Embiid has been a tough one. And then there's Tatum, which is, I don't even, like his quote. I'm going to read you a Tatum quote. Let me pull it up real quick. He had a quote about, what the Olympics have, what he's going through and what the last couple months have been. And it's a telling quote and an interesting quote where he says, quote, "It's a unique situation and it's not about one individual player. Competitor in you wants to play, obviously. But I'm not here to make a story about myself. You win a championship. New contract, NBA 2K25 cover, Sports Illustrated. So after all of this, it's definitely a humbling experience. But what is so unique about the Tatum thing is, in the last 2 months, he has won a championship, got the biggest contract in NBA history, and been, is on Team USA, which is a prohibitive favorite to win the gold. And I truly believe if 2 months ago you had 100 NBA fans make their list in order, 1 through 10, the top 10 NBA players, and if today you had those same 100 fans make a top 10 of the top 10 NBA players, that Tatum somehow has moved down the rankings. He certainly hasn't moved up. In winning a championship and being on maybe the most talented Olympic team ever has actually kind of hurt his standing in the eyes of folks if we're just talking about who's the best. Like, prior to the NBA Finals, DeMonze, don't you think most people in their rankings would have had Tatum ahead of Kevin Durant? I do. It's like, man, Tatum's the best player on a 64-win team. Like, I think most people would have had Tatum ahead of KD. Right now, this moment, do you think people would still have Tatum ahead of KD?
Well, the 4-point, like the DMP, I don't want to say it was a coach error, but like he has no control over that. But with the 4-point game and him still not performing after he gets in, I could see him dropping. But I think it would be a little recency bias, I guess, that term you use.
No, that's fair. That is the exact right use of the term. But it's also the finals. It's also felt like, man, you weren't at your, it's a weird thing. So I just don't know how this is all landing with Tatum. Here's what I do know. If I'm Steve Kerr, okay, and I am moving forward, once we get to the games that really matter, my starting 5 is, if I'm trying to have my best 5, my starting 5 is Steph, Drew, LeBron, KD, Anthony Davis. Those are my 5. My guys off the bench are Booker, Ant, Derek White, and Bam. And my "we'll call you if we need you" guys are Halliburton, Embiid, and Tatum. That's just what it is for me right now. If you're in a spot, once you get to the medal round where it's win or go home, those are the guys that, to me, and Derek White's been excellent. He has been excellent, and it knows his exact role and is doing exactly what you want. Drew Holiday can get out there and play lockdown defense and not need any shots. Steph obviously had a really bad game yesterday, but to me, that's nothing to worry about. And LeBron and KD have been absolutely brilliant. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.